Hi, second graders. It's wonderful to have a chance to talk to you today. I'm very excited, and we miss you all so very much. I cannot wait to hear the ways that you are helping out at home and those ideas that you came up with. Today, I'm going to read a story called Stone Soup. Now, you might be wondering what's going on because Miss Kelly, she read a book called Stone Soup, right? Well, today I'm going to read this version of Stone Soup. And as we already know, folk tales are old stories that are passed down many years. We're not really even sure who the author is of these. Sometimes you could tell that by looking at the book and saying the story was retold or adapted by. That could tell you that it is a folk tale. So today is going to be Stone Soup. First of all, before we get started, let's look at the map and see where these two countries are from the books that we have, the book that Miss Kelly read and the book that I'm going to be reading. Let me get the lights really quick. All right, Miss Kelly's version of Stone Soup, which is, it's kind of hard to see, it is a folk tale from France. Okay, let me move you up a little closer so you can see. And France is right here, okay? Right here, okay? The Stone Soup version I'm going to be reading today hails from China. That is over here. Now I'd like for you to stop, or I'm going to stop for a second and give you a chance to think about how these books could be different.
Miss Phillips, come to my office, please.
So guys, what did you come up with? Well, one thing I do know is that a lot of customs and traditions influence the way that stories are told. Like from China, there may be some elements of some things, some customs and traditions that they do there. In Stone Soup, someone's name was Francoise. That is a French name. And also, there's a lot of elements that you guys probably remember from this book that is in Stone Soup. Okay? Before we get started reading Stone Soup, I would like to familiarize you guys with some vocabulary that you may encounter that we're going to read in the book. Thanks for being patient with me. First of all, we have the word monk. And that is a man who has devoted his life to a religion. Next we have scholar. And some of you may have had some of these words with your vocabulary or come along them in books that you read. A scholar is a person that has a lot of knowledge about a lot of subjects. And also I have curiosity. That is a strange object or event that causes interest. Kind of like things that make you go, very interesting. So let's get started with the book, Stone Soup by John J. Moth. Three monks, Hawk, Lock, and Sow, traveled along a mountain road. They talked about cat whiskers, the color of the sun, and giving. What makes one happy, Saul? Asked Hawk, the youngest monk. Old Saul was the wisest and said, let's find out. The sound of a bell brought their gaze to the rooftops of a village below. They could not see from so high above that the village had been through hard times. Famine, floods, and war had made the villagers weary and untrusting of strangers. They had even become suspicious of their neighbors. Wow. Famine is a time where it may be very difficult to grow crops, which in turn makes it very difficult to have food to eat. So those are some hard times. The villagers worked hard, but only for themselves. There was a farmer, a tea merchant, a scholar, a seamstress, a doctor, a carpenter, and many others. But they had little to do with one another. Wow, all those talented and skilled people, but they had nothing to do with each other, so they could not use each other's gifts. When the monks reached the foot of the mountain, the villagers disappeared into their houses. No one came to the gates to greet them. And when the people saw them enter the village, they closed their windows tight. Wow. The monks knocked on the door of the first house. There was no answer, and the house went dark. They knocked on the second door, and the same thing happened. It happened again and again, from one house to the next. These people do not know happiness, Sal. They all agreed. But today, said Sal, his face bright as the moon, we will show them how to make stone soup. His face was as bright as the moon. Can you imagine what that looked like? Probably something like, imagine your face when you're really excited or you have a great idea about something. The little girl helped the monks look around the courtyard until they found just the right ones. I skipped a page, I'm sorry. They gathered twigs and branches and made a fire. They placed a small tin pot on top and filled it with water from the well. A brave little girl who had been watching came to them. "What are you doing?" she asked. "We are gathering twigs," said Lock. "We are making a fire," said Hawk. "We are making stone soup, and we need 3 round, smooth stones," said Saw. The little girl helped the monks look around the courtyard until they found just the right ones. Then they put them in the water to cook. "These stones will make excellent soup," said Saw. "But this very small pot won't make much, I'm afraid." "My mother has a bigger pot," said the little girl. Oh, how helpful. She's wanting to share, and I think they're really liking it, and it's really going well so far. The little girl ran home. As she started to take a pot, her mother asked her what she was doing. "The 3 strangers are making soup from stones," she said. "They need our biggest pot." Said the girl's mother. "Stones are easy to come by. I'd like to learn how to do that." So stones are easy to come by. That would mean that they're readily available. They're everywhere, and they're not really anything you have to search for. The monks poked the coals. The smoke drifted up. The neighbors peered out from their windows. The fire in the large pot in the middle of the village was a true curiosity. One by one, the people of the village came out to see what this stone soup was. Look at them looking out their windows. They're like, what's going on out there? "Of course, old-style stone soup should be well seasoned with salt and pepper," said Hawk. "That is true," said Lock as he stirred the giant pot filled with water and stones. "But we have none." "I have some salt and pepper," said the scholar, his eyes big with curiosity. He disappeared and came back with salt and pepper and even other spices. Sue took a taste. "The last time we made soup stones of this size and color, carrots made the broth very sweet." "Carrots?" said a woman from the back. "I may have a few carrots, but just a few." And off she ran. She returned with as many carrots as she could carry and dropped them into the pot. Wow, from just a few to as many as she could carry. That's amazing. Do you think it would be better with onions? Asked Hawk. Oh, yes, maybe an onion would taste good, said a farmer, and he hurried off. He returned in a moment with 5 big onions, and he dropped them into the bubbling soup. Now that's a fine soup, he said. The villagers all nodded their heads, as the smell was very agreeable, meaning it was A-OK. But if only we had some mushrooms, said Sal, rubbing his chin. Several villagers licked their lips. A few dashed away and returned with fresh mushrooms, noodles, pea pods, and cabbages. Something magical began to happen among the villagers. As each person opened their heart to give, the next person gave even more. As this happened, the soup grew richer and smelled more delicious. I imagine the emperor would suggest we add dumplings, said one villager, and bean curd, said another. What about cloud ear and mung beans and yams, cried some others, and taro root and winter melon and baby corn, cried the other villagers. Garlic, ginger root, soy sauce, lily buds. I have some. The people cried out, and off they ran, returning with all they could carry. The monks stirred, and the pot bubbled. How good it smelled! How good it would taste! How giving the villagers had become! Wow, what a change! They went from not welcoming in people, not having anything to do with each other, and now they're all sitting at this long table. At last, the soup was ready. The villagers gathered together. They brought rice and steamed buns. They brought lychee nuts and sweet cakes. They brought tea to drink, and they lit lanterns. Everyone sat down to eat. They had not been together for a feast like this for as long as anyone could remember. Wow, I love it. After the banquet, they told stories, sang songs, and celebrated long into the night. Then they unlocked their doors and took the monks into their homes and gave them a very comfortable place to sleep. In the gentle spring morning, everyone gathered together near the willows to say farewell. Thank you for having us as your guests, said the monks. You have been most generous. Thank you, said the villagers. With the gifts you have given, you will always have plenty. You have shown us that sharing makes us all richer. And to think, said the monks, to be happy is as simple as making stone soup. The end. And that is the story. Stone Soup by John J. Muth. Great, huh? I love this story. It's one of my favorites. So today we're going to talk about comparing and contrasting these two stories. And this is something we have done before. We're going to use a Venn diagram, and I'm going to show you. Give me one moment. Hopefully you can see it well without me having to run off and turn off the lights. I think I will turn them off. 1 second. Okay, we have a Venn diagram, of course. We already know that when you're comparing and contrasting with a Venn diagram, these two sides here are going to be contrasting. Those are the things that are different from each other. And in the middle is going to be what is the same. So I have up here a little black and white version of the book. And over here, I have a version of the Stone Soup book that I read today. So on your paper that you have in your packet, you're going to try to list at least 4 things that they have in common, or comparing them and contrasting them. At least 4 in each, please. So can you think of something right now that they have in common? I'll give you a second to think about that. All right, just to get you started, I think something that they have in common would be they both have 3 people, that 3 main characters. Stone Soup, they have 3 monks. In this Stone Soup, they have 3 travelers. Okay, so I would like for you to fill this out and have it ready for us, okay? All right. Also, we have a reading passage for you. This is a fun reading passage about everybody's favorite thing, baking cookies. Yes. So you're going to read the passage, and then you're going to use this information to answer these questions, okay? So make sure that you're looking back in the passage to make sure your answer is correct. And we recommend reading it a couple of times just to make sure, because we want to make sure that our answers are correct, okay? So if you would like to, go back, and we recommend this, going back and underlining where you found the information, okay? If you have any questions about either of these, you can let our teachers know, okay? One second, I'm going to turn this off, and then I have something else to say. In your packet from last week, you had some work to do with central message. And if you recall, that's a big idea you can learn from reading and thinking. What do you think the central message of Stone Soup is? Well, I think that the central message of Stone Soup would be that sharing can benefit everybody. The people were so distant, they didn't want to be bothered, but just simple small acts of kindness and sharing can make people open up, and the things that they've been going through can really be smaller, and those troubles and things like those people in the stories having famines and having hard times, well, those things just kind of start to go away as people start to give